Durkin, the defensive coordinator for Auburn, is getting an extension, $2.5 million a year. I've seen this one be about 50-50. People liking the extension, people not really liking the extension. I'm in the camp of I think it's good. I mean, he's been pretty productive everywhere he's been. But your thoughts on DJ Durkin getting the extension at Auburn?
DJ Durkin has been one of the most underrated defensive coordinators in college football in the last 5 years. When the hire was made by Auburn, we gave it a lot of attention. We gave it a lot of love. We said that this is going to pay a lot of dividends for Hugh Freeze because he needs to bring in a highly reputable defensive coordinator to help this team start to improve. And we saw that last year. We saw some guys get unlocked, and we saw their defensive performance get better despite putting out a couple of guys to the NFL. I agree that DJ Durkin is deserving of being in the upper category of the highest paid coordinators in the sport. But it just feels a little weird to me that he is now the second, not the third, not the fourth, nowhere else, the second behind Jim Knowles, highest paid defensive coordinator in the sport. The strangest part, and I don't know if this is maybe something I was missing, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, there were multiple really important coordinator openings, defensive coordinator openings, over the past month since the national championship. His name wasn't brought up once. So what motivated this? Was he getting potentially poached? Was the NFL interested? What was the motivator here? I have got a lot of questions. I don't have a ton of answers. Well, that's the thing. We don't know that it didn't happen.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I will say this. We're getting to Matt Patricia for the DC at Ohio State. There are other people that were on that list before they got to Matt Patricia. You and I both know that. And I do wonder, the same day that the Matt Patricia news did come out about Ohio State, if DJ Durkin's name didn't start flying around there. Here's the most impressive thing for me. Well, and let me back up for just a second. Joe, you and I know how this business works. When names of coordinators are flying around the way that they're flying around, they all have the same agent. So, I mean, like, look, the Alabama coaching search told you everything. Norvell, Sark, everybody getting an extension. Everybody's name getting out there in the float. I think for DJ, here's the most impressive thing for me when I think about him. Their defenses are still competing and dominating in moments, even in chaos. Look at A&M. Let's look at A&M. No more chaos than what DJ Durkin had to go through. None. Zero. They paid a man $75 million to walk away. And you know what he did? Dominated. Joe, they're a mismanaged game away from beating Alabama in back-to-back seasons. Thank you, Jimbo. I look at Hugh Freeze and I look at Auburn. You have a top 25 defense throughout the entire regular season. And then I come back and I'm like, wait a damn minute. A team that almost led the SEC in turnovers. Offensively, they were horrible. Peyton Thorne was god-awful. Every time I see a team with DJ Durkin on it, the offensive side of the football never lives up or never gives him anything. And then he's still a top 25 unit. What happens if he has an offense that can actually play competitive and complementary football? So when Auburn's got a lot that they got to figure out, whether it be Hugh Freeze, whether it be, nobody's talking about DJ Durkin being fired, by the way. No one. Whether he was at A&M or he's at Auburn. Like, the issues with all the chaos, it's never DJ Durkin, ever. So I look at this entire situation and say to myself, I got nothing but Jimbo and Hugh Freeze chaos, and I'm still doing pretty damn good. I think that's highly impressive, if I'm being honest, Joe.
Look, I don't disagree with any of those things that you just said. They're all very true. He is a top 10 defensive coordinator in the sport right now. And eventually, during the offseason, we're going to do our coordinator rankings like we always do. Be on it. He'll be top 10. He's worthy of being top 10. Maybe he's top 5. But I just feel like that there could be so many other names on here that are not more deserving, but that should be more higher paid than him. Like Phil Parker's the first one, and Iowa's not going to pay him that type of money.
How much would Phil Parker make on the open market?
Phil Parker would probably make 2.5 on the open market if he got up and left.
Why would Iowa pay the man if he's just not going to leave anyway? You think people didn't come in there and try to give him more money to leave? I mean, like I'm with you. I understand what you're saying, but like the money part of an extension when a guy's coming off a top 20 defense, top 25 defense, I don't know what I can say about that if I'm being honest. I really don't, especially when there's so much chaos not created by him. Now, you know why I really think that DJ Durkin, and rightfully so to some extent, but the cloud will always be over DJ Durkin because of what happened at Maryland. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about on the field situations here. That's what we get paid here to do. I'm not paid to talk about that. I just feel like there's a cloud over him. But every time that I look up and there's chaos around him, he continues to shine. You know what he is?
What?
He's like a weed. You don't garden, do you?
Well, no, I live in an apartment, so no, I don't garden. But okay, I know how weeds work. But what are you getting at here?
What I'm saying is even in the chaos, he's like a rose bush. He keeps shining, right? I mean, it's just the truth. And by the way, name one guy from Auburn that's going to get drafted this year in the top 2 rounds defensively. So we talk about.
I don't even think that they're even really putting anybody out this year.
Okay, so think about this. Everybody said about him at Texas A&M that it was nothing because he had 5-star talent all around him. You can't make that same excuse now because of the simple nature that he did it with guys that won't even – like it was a completely different situation here.
Again, the comment that I'm not making about him is that he's not worthy of the contract. Like he's absolutely worthy of getting paid and being paid as a top defensive coordinator. I look across the sport and like Pete Golding's like a really good example. Pete Golding didn't get an extension. Pete Golding's not getting brought up for any of these openings.
In fairness, I think some other things outside for Pete Golding have issues of reasons why that is. That are not football related.
Okay.
I mean, look, it's public. It was out there and reported on. Joe, I mean, he leaves after Alabama after getting a DWI. I mean, like, it's how the public and PR works. I would pay the man top 3 money, top 2 money.
What about Pete Kwiatkowski, who's the Texas defensive coordinator? Texas's defense has been phenomenal over the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They have the money to spend. I'm not. The argument that I'm bringing up almost isn't even like really one that can be fully articulated because
no, I get where you're coming from.
There's 2 sides that are being brought up, which is the side that you're bringing up, which is correct, is that DJ Durkin has been a phenomenal defensive coordinator and he's been in some really shit situations. And Auburn is doing the right thing of paying him what he's deserving. What would his numbers be like if he went to Ohio State? Like, how good of a DC would he be? He'd probably be one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, and nobody would doubt it.
Well, let's end it here.
Okay.
When he had that level of talent, okay, at Texas A&M, when they were, the first real team to do the NIL via recruiting.
Yeah.
What did he do? The number 1 run defense 2 years ago, the number 1 team in sacks 2 years ago. Joe, his offense sucked. Remember Max Johnson?
I remember Max Johnson. Max Johnson was awful.
Okay, so remember Jimbo Fisher's crazy ass?
I remember all of it, and I'm not doubting.
I mean, they were killing human beings, brother. The
adversity that he has powered through to produce elite defenses is extremely notable, but first of all, I got to see him enter from the top 25 into like the top 10 statistically.
Well,
I got to see him enter into that. Here's my last bit with this.
Okay.
This move to pay him this much money, I think a lot of administrations are going to be really pissed off about this. I think a lot of programs are going to be really pissed off about this because anybody who, and I just threw out a couple of names there, any defensive coordinator that is worth anything, just worth a shit, just a top 10% defensive coordinator in the sport, they're all going to be calling their agents and say, how the F did DJ Durkin, who is below me in total yards allowed and points per game allowed, they all keep track of this stuff, by the way. So don't act like coaches don't know where they rank statistically. He's going to be saying, they're all going to be saying, where's my bread? And then the agent's going to call up the athletic directors. They're going to call up the head coaches and say, like, when are you paying my guy? I wouldn't be shocked if this doesn't lead to 2 to 3 more extensions.
Well, let's just hold off on that.
Why
just
not?
because
Why?
you know why? You know why? Because you mean to tell me DJ Durkin just did that?
Well, right.
DJ Durkin literally is reacting, and they're reacting to the Jim Knowles news. Joe, it's $1 million difference.
But
$1 million a year. So DJ Durkin is on the level of what some of these other guys would make that would probably are going to come up to him. They're all reacting to the Jim Knowles news. This ain't
but the Jim Knowles wait. But the Jim Knowles news, that's a tongue twister. Jim Knowles news is relatively expected. Like him, oh my God, he just won the team a national title with how good their defense was. He gets the big pay bump. But DJ Durkin's kind of random in that list is what I'm talking about here.
I think it's random.
I think that this is going to lead to at least